At exactly 2:17 a.m., Michael Turner, a 42-year-old long-haul truck driver, was pushing his 18-wheeler across Nevada's infamous US 50, a stretch known as America's loneliest road. But something about this night felt different, heavier, colder, soaked in a kind of silence that didn't just surround him but pressed directly against his ribs, as if the darkness itself had weight. Even with his radio playing soft rock, the signal kept breaking into harsh static, not randomly but rhythmically, almost like something was interfering with the frequency on purpose. And while Michael tried laughing it off, an uneasy tightness began creeping up his spine, the kind that made him keep checking his mirrors even when he didn't want to. The asphalt stretched endlessly into the void, glowing in thin strips under his headlights, and then suddenly, without warning, he saw a figure standing on the right shoulder of the road, tall, pale, motionless, so unnaturally tall that it stood half a foot above the reflector poles, and Michael instinctively slowed down, thinking maybe it was a hitchhiker. But then the figure lifted its head in a way no human neck should bend, raising it slow, mechanical, like a hinge being forced against rust. And when its face caught the light, there were no eyes, just black, empty hollows staring directly into him. Hollows so deep they looked like pieces of the night had been carved out and placed inside its skull, and Michael's breath stuck in his throat as he honked his horn, but the figure didn't flinch, didn't move, didn't blink. It simply stood there, impossibly still, and then, with the suddenness of an animal attack, it stepped directly into the middle of the road, forcing Michael to yank the steering wheel hard enough for his tires to scream across the pavement as the massive truck skidded sideways. But when he regained control and looked at the windshield expecting cracks or blood or something, there was nothing. No mark, no dent, nothing on the road behind him either, as if he had driven through smoke or a hologram. But then he looked into his rearview mirror and nearly choked, because the figure was standing directly behind the truck, same distance, same position, perfectly centered, like it had teleported into place, and the radio static surged so violently it sounded like 1,000 whispers speaking at once, until through the distortion he heard one chilling sentence: "Don't stop. Don't look back. Keep driving." His heart hammered so hard it felt like it was shaking the steering wheel, and he slammed the accelerator, pushing the truck to 75, then 80, but every time he checked the mirror the figure remained. Never closer, never farther. Locked to him like a shadow chained to his bumper. Miles ahead he saw a lonely rest stop glowing faintly between flickering yellow bulbs, and he pulled in desperate for a moment to breathe, but the moment his wheels hit the gravel the truck died completely. Lights off, engine dead, dashboard black, like some unseen force had drained every ounce of power from the machine. The rest stop lights flickered harder, buzzing like dying insects, and Michael's hands trembled as he grabbed his flashlight and checked the door locks. But as he looked up at the windshield, his stomach dropped. The tall, pale face was pressed directly against the glass, close enough that its hollow eyes aligned exactly with his own, its mouth hanging slightly open, wider than a human jaw should be able to stretch, and the instant his flashlight beam hit its face, it vanished. Not faded, not blurred, just blinked out of existence like a bad frame in a corrupted video. Trying not to scream, Michael twisted the ignition again, but the engine wouldn't even click, and then something banged hard on the truck door, so hard the entire cabin shook, like someone or something, with impossible strength, was trying to smash its way inside. He grabbed his phone to call 911, but the screen showed no bars, no network, only a single line of text he had never seen before. "You are not alone on this highway." His throat tightened as a cold breath brushed across the back of his neck, so cold it felt like ice melting into his skin, and when he slowly turned his head, the truck cabin was empty. But in the rearview mirror he saw it. The Phantom, crouched in the far corner of the cabin, limbs bent and folded like an insect, head tilted sharply toward him, staring with those hollow eyes. Every hair on Michael's body stood up, and when he jerked around to look directly, the cabin was empty again. Yet in the mirror the entity began crawling toward him, slow and jerky, like a broken puppet being dragged forward, its long fingers scratching the reflection's edge, and then its hand began pressing through the mirror, the glass warping outward as if reality itself was softening, stretching to let it through. Panicking, Michael swung his arm and smashed the mirror with his fist, shattering it into a spray of silver fragments, and the instant it broke, the engine roared back to life, the lights snapped on, and without thinking he slammed the truck into gear and peeled out of the rest stop, gravel spraying behind him like sparks. He didn't stop, didn't blink, didn't breathe properly for the next 40 miles until a faint glow finally appeared across the horizon. The first thin slice of sunrise bleeding into the sky, and when sunlight touched the asphalt, Michael checked the mirror, and for the first time in hours the figure was gone. No whispering static, no shadow, nothing but an empty highway behind him. He didn't slow down until he reached a small truck stop near a quiet Nevada town, and when he finally stepped out to check his trailer, he froze completely, because on the back door of the trailer, smeared across the metal, was a massive handprint, impossibly large, with more than 5 fingers, pale and dust-like as if made from ash, and carved beneath it was a message in long, jagged scratches. "Sunlight saves you, but night belongs to me." Michael stumbled backward, heart pounding, and just before he turned to run inside the diner, he caught a flicker of movement in his peripheral vision. A tall figure standing at the far end of the empty highway, perfectly still, facing him, waiting for the next night.